Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are doing well and staying healthy and hopefully enjoying some sunshine as the weather is finally getting a little better. I just want to go over the notes that I posted as far as the persuasive notes for the formats for your next speech. I am going to modify the speech. I'm going to go over these formats so that you know, understand them to the best that I can in a short little video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and be looking for your next assignment. All right, here we go. So if you look at the first format that you have, it's called the inductive strategy. The inductive strategy is kind of how we think about a problem. So the first step is you locate and define the problem. So even if, let's say you were talking with a friend and you were talking, okay, this is what's going on in my life. Kind of tell them what's going on. You explore more into depth, and that's the exploring part of the problem. For the persuasive format for our presentation is bringing those issues forward. So you can bring, if you look at the notes, it says 2 or 4, a minimum of 2 issues from your last speech, bring them forward, and you can choose in this format to bring up the opposition side or not even bring up the opposition side. Just give your issue and a couple of support arguments for your issue. Then you go into step 3. You think if you're talking with a friend, okay, so what should I do? Step 3, examine possible solutions to fix the problem. And you can have a plan A, a plan B, or a plan C, depending on what you want to do. You talk about the choices that people have in dealing with your topic, and then you go to step 4, which is you pick your best one, and then you sell it to us. Tell us why it is the best solution, why we should be persuaded to believe your argument and accept your argument. That's the inductive strategy. That's the easiest one. Like I said, I think anybody, you can take any topic and do that. The problem solution, if you go through the steps, is a little bit different. And if you remember, just to give you the heads up too, on the inductive strategy, before step 1 and after step 4, you have to have an introduction and then a conclusion. If you look at problem solution format, their first step is the GM. So they kind of work that into their format. So you have your GM and then you have the rest of your intro. And then you go into step 2 where you kind of talk about the origin and the history of the question. You kind of take your thesis from your intro, turn it into a question, kind of like that debate speech, and leading into the problem today, which is a kind of a brief historical overview. If you have a topic that you have to define some terms, then you go into step 3, and that's a definition of those terms, so that you set up your audience so that they have a clear understanding. Remember, every speech stands on its own, so that is why we don't go back and say, well, remember I said this is what this was in a prior speech. So if you have terms to be defined, this is a step that you do them. If you do not, then you can skip that step. You go into the restatement of the question. For example, on the outline or the form I gave you, well then, what should we do about this? And then you bring up your issues. With this format, you bring up your issue, but you have to acknowledge the other side of the argument. You do have to acknowledge, if you do the problem solution, the opposition side, and then refute it with your arguments that support your solution. In step 8, you go into those possible solutions. In step 9, in step 8, you go into those solutions and you choose one. And then step 9 is kind of the summary, the conclusion. All right. That's a problem solution order. It's really up to you if you decide that you would like to do that and it works with your topic. The next one I'm going to go over is the reflective pattern. The reflective pattern kind of looks at things differently. So again, with this pattern, you have the intro, then you have the history of, after you have your intro and your thesis, the history of the origin of the problem, but then you go into how it looks from a cause and effect standpoint. So step 2 is the major effects of the problem. So let's just say if I allowed you to do gun control, your effects might be domestic violence, mass shootings, whether in schools or in other places, maybe even suicides, anything that if you were saying that these are the effects of people having guns and the cause being guns in the hands of individuals. If that was an argument that might work for you, obviously I don't allow you to do gun control, but it shows you the cause and effect and how this reflective pattern reflects that. When you go once you have talked about the effects and then highlight what the cause is, you go into step 4, which is outlining your solutions. Like the other formats, step 5, evaluating those solutions and cause and effects, and which one will really fit well with your topic. And then in step 6, suggesting the best solution, selling it to us. What are the advantages for us believing and accepting your argument? And then you go into conclusion, and that's the reflective pattern. Last one I'm going to pick at, if you've looked at these, pick up is the psychological order, also known as Monroe's motivated sequence. With this order, a lot of people look at it and they think, oh, this looks easy, 5 easy steps. Great order, but it has to work with your topic, because the very last step is an action step, and you have to have a specific action to do this format. First one is attention step, so you have your GM, and then you have the rest of your intro. Then you look at it from a need to satisfaction. So need, describe the problem in terms of needs. If I were going to give the example of, let's say there is a need to have car insurance, because I'm going to share with you how when you were sitting in class, things that can happen when your car is vandalized or stolen, or if somebody backs into it. And then the satisfaction step, how can we fix that? Well, it's an easy fix. Everybody should have not only the liability insurance that you have on your car, but you should have the comprehensive coverage, which means that you can fix your car if it's stolen or vandalized. Visualization step would be me explaining to you why it would be so wonderful. You could sit in class and relax, rest assured that your car is okay no matter what happens while you were in class. And then the last step is action step. So if I were to do this format, I would have to give a specific action, and my action would be, here is a list of automobile insurance agents in the area with phone numbers, and my action is for you to go home, check your policies. If you don't have that, call, make sure and get that insurance. That's how specific that action step has to be. So it's a great format, kind of a fun format. Some of you might think it looks easy, and it can be if you have a specific action step that you can ask the class or the audience to do at the end of it. That's it. That's a lot in a short amount of time, and it's over the time I want it to be. So be looking for your next assignment. I will give you ample time to do it. I apologize for the inconvenience of, it's been very difficult for some of you, I know, in uploading and getting those speeches to me, and I wish there was another way to do it. Because of that, I am modifying the next speech, though, to try to make it a little bit easier. So I have a challenge for any of you that are actually watching this, that I believe that during all of this, I know it's been very hard on everyone. A good way to get through it, I always think, is laughter. So laughter is always good for our hearts and our souls. So if you want a little extra credit, 10 points extra credit, if you email me a joke, something cute, funny, and appropriate, but something just to bring some laughter, I'll give you extra credit. So hopefully you'll enjoy that if you watch this video, and you'll enjoy saying that off to me. Have a great day, and take care.